79 days until the World Cup, and this Thursday it's the UEFA World Cup Playoffs, starting with the single-leg semifinals, followed by the finals next Tuesday. So in 1 week, we will know 4 of the 6 vacant spots for this summer's World Cup. Nico did some of his picks for path B, C, and D. Time for A, and we wanted to hold on to this one because it's a big chat. This is one that has Italy in it. Tony, start preparing yourself as we're getting ready to talk Italy. But first, Nico, make your picks.
Okay, before I make my picks, because I know that this segment is going to speak to Tony's heart, I want to know where his heart is divided.
Okay.
I tell you right now, the U.S. makes a World Cup semifinal right now, signed, sealed, delivered, but Italy doesn't qualify to the World Cup.
Where do I sign?
Right here.
I need the big Sharpie. I need one of these. Yeah.
Give me the signature.
Look, I love Italy, but there's only one country I love more. There you go.
Give me the Sharpie. We're just gonna make
It's sloppy, but I apologize.
And deliver.
USA semifinal, Italy. Ciao.
I can hear my Serie A, but I think my phone's buzzing right now. My Serie A crew, they're
They're
here it
coming
is.
after you.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Tony?
Yeah, I mean, that was an easy one for me. Yeah.
Hold on to that.
Okay. All right.
Well, do you have Italy going through? Now I'm curious here.
Let's do the picks. By the way, Italy, if they were to close out, they close out away. They're playing at home in Bergamo, and I kind of like that. And that's why I think they're going to beat Northern Ireland. They should beat Northern Ireland regardless. Gattuso was the one that made the move for playing in Bergamo.
Because they had lost in a couple of the other stadiums. He didn't want to go back to those stadiums.
Right. He mentioned San Siro, split audience.
Napoli, so he made this move. This was his decision.
Welcoming atmosphere. Italy gets past Northern Ireland. Wales is going to be Bosnia in Cardiff. The final would be in Cardiff. What a stadium to go into. What pressure to deliver. And I think at the end of the day, somehow dramatically, Italy avoids a 3rd straight absence from the World Cup and makes the big dance.
So this is the one place where you are going away from what SofaScore said.
Yeah, SofaScore had
Wales.
They had Wales, huh? Okay.
Are you taking a lot of because SofaScore, that's coming from all the stats, correct? It made all the picks based off of stats?
It's the computer, the Oracle we call it.
The Oracle.
Has its own mind.
Your picks, though, it takes into fact emotions and everything else that maybe SofaScore isn't taking in. So why are you picking Italy over Wales?
There's a level of pride here, and I think that Italy have to get over the line. I don't care how, but I do think, Tone, that pressure does affect this group. The ghosts of the past haunt them, and every time that you watch an Italy match, there's this creeping sense of inevitability that there's another failure around the corner.
You know, we have this Italian side who has not, as you mentioned, qualified for 2 World Cups, and then you sandwich in a European Championship, and every Italian fans are just scratched their head. Like, how does this happen? Like, how do we get to this point? Because you look at Italian teams of past, and you could have picked out 5, 6, 7 world-class players in a lot of those teams. That's not what Italian football is right now, and it's not what this Italian national team is right now. I can tell you, my relatives, this team drives them nuts. Gattuso drives them crazy.
Why?
Right? Because they seem so scattered, right? Because they're used to nobody ever scores against us. Not you go to Israel and what was that one, 5-4 or 4-3, like some wild. You imagine Italian fans watching a 5-4 match with the Italian national team against Israel? No disrespect to Israel, but against anybody. And that's why this team drives them nuts. And then you look, it's not the most talented team. I will say I do like the midfield, although there's not a real attacking midfielder in here, although steady midfielders. And for maybe the first time in a long time, one of the strengths actually is the forward line, where you got guys that can score goals. So I'll bury the lead. My final prediction on Sunday was on the Serie A, with the Serie A crew was that Italy would qualify and Pio Esposito would eventually be the hero. It's just a selfish pick. I really like him. I like what he does. I like what he brings to the table. But this is not going to be easy.
Do you think that they deserve to make it?
Well, if they qualify, they do, right? Because they're doing it. You know, if you think about there were a couple of 4-team groups and a couple of 5-team groups. As a second-place finisher to Norway, who was undefeated, right? Erling Haaland and boys were undefeated in the qualifying. they had 6 points in the group. So they had more points than other teams that have actually qualified for the World Cup. So it's not as if, you know, we mentioned Sweden. Sweden is in a different bucket because they got here through a different type of qualification. They don't have a win in World Cup qualifying. So if they win this, they clearly deserve it. They wouldn't deserve it any more or less than Wales or Bosnia and Herzegovina would deserve it. This is the group that they're in right now.
I just look at this team, and one thing Tony definitely alluded to was the talent and the quality that's throughout. And I compared it to like that 2006 team, and this is not to get Italian fans riled up, but that 2006 team had so much heart, they had so much determination. I just thought about the different ways in which they could win, from being still and tight, and then, you know, you get goal scorers like Golazo and pops up in weird spaces, but there was an element of understanding behind that Lippi system. And this is not to compare what Marcello Lippi's doing and obviously Gattuso's doing, but like, it's just, it doesn't feel like when I'm watching it, there's a heritage of an Italian team there. Even throughout, Totti has never been historically known. When you think of, like, you don't think of his work rate, but I looked at the industry and the yards that he covered during that World Cup. I just don't see that same level of dedication and pride that has always been associated historically with these Italian teams. And that's what my only question mark is. Like, how much does it mean to these players? We can talk about how much they deserve it, but are we giving them the credence because of their history, or are we giving it on what we actually are seeing right now in terms of the quality?
I think it's too strong to compare this Italy team to that World Cup team. Like, I think we're asking for too much to even come close to that. Like,
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Right? And that's why I'm backing up what you're saying, because it's too much. I don't think you can even ask this group of players to be remotely close, but at least give me some inkling.
The pride.
But yeah, I think that pride with this team, just because of the failures of this generation, I think that passion, when you mix the whole context together, it turns into pressure because the players aren't as good. Mind you, like, look at the teams in Serie A. There's not a lot of Italian players getting significant minutes for top teams. Milan, Como, Champions League candidates for next season.
There's not a Milan player. Can you imagine we have a national team without a Milan player? This is unheard of.
Tony.
Right? Unheard of.
Como's going to make Champions League. Could make Champions League. They don't have a single Italian player either. Like,
there's more Milan players that will tomorrow. He won. There's more on England national team than there is in the Italian national team.
Unheard of.
But to your point about 2000, when you play it for a guy like Lippi, you know what you're going to get. So I obviously work with some of the brightest minds in Serie A, in Marco Messina and Mike Grella and the whole group, right? Matteo Bonetti. We struggled to figure out if this team's going to play with 3 or 4 in the back. We're getting ready to play, Italy's getting ready to play on Thursday. No one has any idea what Gattuso's going to do. We've guessed what we think he's going to do. Right? We have an idea, and we went back and forth, and we argued about players. And we sat and agreed. It was a great discussion for like an hour and a half to finally come up with a lineup. But this was never the case with Italian teams. You went into these windows.
You knew the 11.
And, you know, maybe one guy changed because he was in form, you know. Like, so this is a really strange time again. But what I do like, they've been using one word in the Italian camp. It's humble. This is the first time. They thought they should have beat North Macedonia. They thought they were going to beat Sweden. Right? They thought it was like a God-given right because of all the things you spoke about, the history of this team, that they were going to go in and they were going to get the job done. So they're using the word humble right now. They understand that Italy missing out on a 3rd World Cup is almost disastrous.
They need a star, but I'm really glad that he's picked on, like, especially Esposito to be that star, because I feel like Italy need a star. If I remember right, going into that World Cup, Luca Toni was having the season of his life. And he might not have been the star, but there were players in that type of confidence and that form that made you believe that whether you're ignoring it or you're not ignoring it, this Italy team could still do something that's amazing because of the heritage, because of the culture, because of the pride. I question, I've seen their home and away against Norway, and that was really the first time I really started, my antenna started flicking up, like, this team doesn't really strike me as an Italian team. And that's my biggest drive. Like, Italian teams are synonymous with football as much as Argentines, Brazilians, English. Like, they are synonymous for what they can bring to this game. And the world is a better place, football is a better place when Italy, especially as a nation, are pushing forward in international competitions. Their absence over the last couple of has just been shocking to me, the decline.
I think even if Italy does make the World Cup, there's still questions to be answered on the direction of Italian football.
100%.
Back then, let's compare it.
That's a bigger cut
right?
for sure. You're right.
Like the problem doesn't get solved because you beat who now I forget Northern Ireland and oh my gosh, and Wales in the finals. Yeah. Sorry, we did it 5 minutes in this segment.
We've done it 2 days in a row.
Listen, 2006, they had ownership in their identity. Every player.
Yeah.
Cannavaro, Nesta, Zambrotta, Camoranesi, Pirlo, Gattuso, Toni, Totti, they all know who they were and what they needed. This team doesn't know who they are, what they need, how they're going to fix it, and maybe you do need a little bit of that grit that I think they can bring to the table, but they need to know who they are. They need to know how to represent that Italian identity. So, win or lose, Italian football still needs to seriously have an introspective thought on the direction that they're heading, because I hope they don't understand qualifying to the World Cup as we fixed our problems, rather than, all right, we can patch them up for now and fix everything that needs fixing.
You imagine Italian fans right now. Italy beat England in rugby recently. They beat the U.S. in baseball.
I was going to bring that
We're trying to qualify for a World Cup.
No, but he's making an incredible point. We're laughing, but the truth of the matter is, and I don't want to sound like an unk on the set, right? But there has to be an element of pride because of what Italian football means to Italians. If you've ever crossed paths with an Italian, they will tell you the passion streaks off them on their food and their football. It's who they are. It's a part of their culture. It's a part of their identity. And unfortunately, right now, they're being let down. And it's not just this campaign. There's been a number of campaigns. And we're lifting the blinkers up now and saying, look, no more. Like, this needs to now become a focus and a forefront in terms of what's going on in the next few weeks.
And Esposito quickly, 20-year-old kid in his press conference said the most poignant thing for me, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, we, as fans, we have to throw all of our allegiances away this week. We got to be Italian fans right now because that gets separated in Italy sometimes. So I thought it was really interesting.
I think what happened in the Italy baseball dugout needs to be brought over to the soccer team. So when they score goals, maybe do a little espresso shot or something, get them hyped. I think we need to bring those traditions over to the soccer world.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.